I love Mad Max Fury Road. It is one of my very favorite movies. I saw it when it came out in summer 2015, and I saw it three times the first week I saw it. And it wasn't just because I thought it was great. It was like, I guess it's like, your first beer or your first time having sex or something. If you knew nothing about what sex or beer was, you're like, wait, that's like a thing that human can experience? It feels like that? And I can just do that again? That's amazing. It's so good. It's an instant action classic, and everyone knows that. It's just perfectly conceived and perfectly executed. Bit of introduction for those who are not familiar. So the general premise of Mad Max is that it's an Australian film series, so it typically stars Australians or things like unto it. And it's after the world has ended, but the main resource everyone is fighting over is gas. And so it's this kind of punk world with spikes and goth makeup and everyone having cool cars and motorcycles and stuff like that. So it's a bit of a stylized world. In real life, if the post-apocalypse happens, we won't be wanting to put on eyeliner, but in this world, they do. People stylize themselves and create these communities, and a lot of things are about the aesthetic, like a 13-year-old Instagram. Within that world, there's always a character who emerges called Max, who is kind of a cowboy figure in that he just, comes across problems and then he helps solve them. So they made 3 movies about this in the 80s. And then the director, went off and did a bunch of other stuff, made Happy Feet and stuff like that. And then he was like, no, let's make another one. And they cast Tom Hardy in the part, who, of course, is a big movie star we all know. And then they made this film. And in this case, the story, because generally each film has its own story, is that there's this warlord who is a bad dude. And the story we're peering into in this entry is the story of the escape of his plural wives. Like a lot of warlords, and maybe a lot of not great dudes, he has multiple wives that he just got from raiding in the wasteland, and they have decided to escape. And they are being led by a general of the warlord who's turned traitor named Furiosa. And so this entry is the story of Max, but it's also the story of Furiosa, and specifically in the story of rescuing these women. And so it's kind of a two-hander. It's Max's story, but it's also her story. And then from there, it's just kind of a very simple, well-executed action premise, which is just they are driving across the desert and they are being pursued by the villain and all his forces. And they just have to keep away from him and figure out why they want to live and stuff like that. It's one of those, we're on a journey, but we're also on a spiritual journey. And it's so good. It's so dense. There isn't a wasted second in this entire thing. There's never more than 15 minutes without an action scene. Literally, I've timed it. Also, the action is very good. It makes sense. It ties into character. It's exciting. It utilizes something resembling real bullet counting or real gun handling. And not that it matters. I'm just trying to find extra ways to praise it at this point. And there are a million reasons to like it, and they're all valid. Like, it was highly praised at the time. It's highly praised now. It's only going to continue to be highly praised. And it's just a very, very good film. It's so energetic. It's like how I described my first experience with it. It's like a drug in a way, because it gets your pulse up so much, and it gets you so excited, and it gets you so invested. And yeah, I watched it again recently to prepare for its sequel, and it was still so good, still so amazing. I've referred to it as a Peter Jackson-esque triumph of world building and storytelling. Like how Peter Jackson just dumped all the people in Lord of the Rings in New Zealand for like a year and a half. And so it's like they were forced to make a good movie because they couldn't go anywhere else. It's like that, but with Namibia, because that's where they filmed. And with that in mind, I'm really excited for the sequel. I think this director, fingers crossed, has just had a lot of time to practice his craft and has been able to hone his skills a lot, and we're getting films that are really, really good as a result. And no guarantees on Furiosa, the sequel, which is actually a prequel. But I'm optimistic that it really might be that good. And maybe in the ballpark even of as good as Fury Road. But we'll see.